What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the much anticipated Airbnb IPO, which is geared to go public this year. And if you don't invest in the stock market, then this should pique your interest. Let's say you're simply an Airbnb host and you're looking to get into some investing, maybe get your feet wet with investing. Since you're watching this video, I'm just going to go through a few reasons why I think this is going to be one of the best IPOs to invest in 2020. I want you to take away whatever golden nuggets you can from this video, but what I want to do is I want to talk about how Airbnb is taking this approach and what I see their company doing. Now, of course, this is all speculation. I'm by no means a financial advisor. With that being said, let's talk about why I think Airbnb is going to be one of the most powerful IPOs of 2020 and of the recent years. We're going to get into the details on this. And I want to make this video because I think it's important for those of you who do invest in the stock market to add this company to your portfolio when that time comes, when they go public. And I'm going to talk about their approach to going public and why they haven't gone public yet. I know they've been around for a long time, and the reality of it is, and we'll dive deep into the details here, but the reality is that they don't need money. And what that's going to do, that's going to put them in a position where, they're not in a rush, and they haven't been in a rush to raise capital. And that's usually where companies, that's why they usually go public, is because they want to raise funding or they need money to continue operating, that sort of thing. And what I can see just by looking at Airbnb's history and their funding rounds and the CEO's connection to venture capital, it makes sense why they haven't gone public yet. Based off of what Brian Chesky, co-founder and CEO, has said about the company, this is an anticipated IPO that is going to go public this year. And when they do go public, it's going to be a very non-traditional form of going public because they're attempting to go for a direct listing, which means that they're not going to be creating additional shares to what they already have in the company. So they're going to be selling equity strictly out of the shares that are already existing amongst the shareholders. So right now, the way that looks is the co-founder and the founders, they have equity, whatever percentage they own themselves, and anybody else who owns equity. In this case, everyone who's purchased Airbnb equity in form of funding rounds. So according to the CEO, they've not been in a rush to go public, and he's being quoted here saying, "We don't need to raise money, and so we haven't been in a rush," and that is simply because they already have all the operating capital and more than enough. In this interview, they said they have a war chest of funds that they're using to operate with. It's going to be a non-traditional direct public offering, which in a sense is going public. They are going to be listed on the stock exchange, but they will not be creating additional shares to sell. And they're going to be selling their shares of the company that they already have in existence. They have all the operating capital in the world. They've raised $4.4 billion in their funding rounds. So from seed round all the way to Series F, they have raised $4 billion US, which is more than enough to sustain a company through the ups and downs of what business looks like and what a cyclical corporation tends to see, right? When you scale aggressively in a company, you tend to spend more and invest more. And you go through that cash pretty quickly. When the time comes, you're just going to be seeing those profits. So right now, Airbnb is doing over $1 billion in revenue a year. And you have to keep in mind that they are a software. Airbnb is a website. And that right there is powerful. And that says a lot about the internet and where things are headed nowadays. What we know right now, and what I can tell you based off of this crucial statement said here by the shareholders, which right now are the venture capitalist funds or the investors who've put money into Airbnb, Jeff Bezos being one of these individuals. Because the shareholders are not in any rush to get rid of these shares or to dump the shares, that says a lot about what they see Airbnb doing in the future and where they see the share price of Airbnb going once it's listed. I would like to say that based off of fundamental analysis alone, which is all we have up to this point, Airbnb will sustain itself and it will see a increase in shareholder value. Just simple supply and demand. The difference between Airbnb and Uber and Lyft, which are two IPOs that went public last year, and if you purchased into any of these IPOs, you are now sitting at a pretty hefty loss. I know I invested in Uber and Lyft when they went and they IPO'd just to buy into the hype, and I lost money on both of these investments. And what I think will happen here, just looking back fundamentally on Uber and Lyft, seeing that they were not profitable, and looking at their balance sheets and seeing that they weren't making any money. They were scaling aggressively and obviously investing a lot of money into the company, but they weren't profitable, which ended up giving a bad taste to the public once they went public. Airbnb is said to be profitable when looking at their balance sheets. Any savvy investor will see this and they'll be attracted to putting money into this company. So what you see on my channel is a lot of me telling you about my experience with Airbnb and how I leverage their platform and how I make money with their platform. But what I also want to share here is looking at this with an investment standpoint and looking at it as a long-term investment that you could potentially make money on, which is why I'm telling you this, right? Like, just based off of that one critical key point that I stressed earlier, the shareholders aren't in any rush to dump their shares because they see this going a long way in the future and they see the valuation continuing to increase. And I think that right there is overall where I'm at with this, and I think I'm very positive about the way that I see this playing out in the long run. From their seed funding round all the way to Series F, they're now valued at $31 billion post-money valuation, which in all honesty, they've received about $4 billion in venture capitalist funding. And the valuation is based off of revenue multiples, valuation is based off of various different things. From what I can understand is that they're priced at a point where they have a lot of room to grow. Just look back at some of the most powerful companies of this past decade. We have companies like Apple and Facebook who have performed extraordinarily well. Amazon, there's companies like Microsoft, they've hit the $1 trillion valuation mark. And looking from 31 billion to an upside potential of who knows how much it could reach in the future. But just knowing that this company is profitable, knowing that it's a software that is being adopted at a massive rate, and just looking at just the true fundamental analysis of what's going on here, I would assume that this company will continue to show growth. I personally feel like this company will continue to be a disruptor and take over market share from hospitality, and in turn that will increase its valuation. And so to get to the point, what I'm trying to tell you here is when Airbnb goes public this year, I will be investing heavily into their company, and I will definitely keep you updated on how that goes. Now, keeping in mind that it's not going to be an IPO and it's going to be a direct listing, we can look into this a little bit deeper and see what the outcomes may be. There's probably going to be less liquidity, less volatility in the price, because if the majority shareholders are not selling away their shares, that means that no new shares have been created, and therefore there might be like a lack of volatility and a lack of volume. I can honestly look at this with two different angles. I can see maybe the CEO or any of the founders, maybe they want to just take the bag and make a bunch of money right away. They can liquidate some of their position and some of their size and then get a payday, which is what founders tend to do, or just people who want to exit and just kind of put that money back in their pocket in the sense that they're getting paid for what they've done and the work that they've put in. So we see here a few reasons why companies might want to go with the direct listing route rather than the IPO route. And it says here that companies that want to do a public listing may not have the resources, or they may not want to dilute existing shares, which I'm assuming is the situation with Airbnb and their managing board. And therefore, I think that's a smart play on their end. I believe that they're very smart individuals. And before I'm out of here, I'm currently running a 50% off promotion on STR Accelerator, which is the most comprehensive Airbnb guide available to purchase on the market. So go check that out. It's linked down below, and I think you will find it very helpful. I believe in this with all my heart, all that I am. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this product, and I love it, and I think you will find it very valuable. And therefore, go check it out. 50% off for a short time only, and I hope you find it useful. With all this being said, let me know what your thoughts are on this IPO. Do you think it'll flop like most of these other big tech IPOs and these big tech unicorns, Uber, Lyft? For example, like WeWork never even made it to the end of the line. Like WeWork just fell apart when they filed for their S1. Let me know what you think will happen with Airbnb when it goes public. And since they're doing a non-traditional approach with a direct listing, just let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's going to be something that you'll be putting your money into? If so, then let me know in the comments down below. And once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to my channel for more investing and Airbnb related content. Thank you all for being here, and I appreciate you. I will see you in the next video.